After searching long and hard, I received 250 milligrams of 5-MeO DMT in the mail the other day. The vendor had a good reputation and actually was kind enough to sell me half of their usual quantity for half the price. I was pleased. I've been intrigued for years, and although N-DMT would be my first choice for experimentation, I simply don't have access to the pure compound. As far as I've read, 5-MeO DMT seems like the less visual but more intense brother of N, so I did expect it to be reminiscent and indicative of an actual N experience. This experience was to be the pinnacle of all my hallucinogen use throughout the years. I've experimented heavily with psilocybin mushrooms, LSD, MDMA and salvinorin. I've tried massive doses of ketamine, DXM and done all the usual, cocaine, heroin, THC, meth, benzos, opiate analgesics etc. But 5-MeO was one of the most, if not the most, disappointing experiences ever. I've been looking for a reference point for the absolutely incredible experience I had on salvinorin A. I had known that the only psychedelics that were considered as brutally intense were the dimethyltryptamines or DPT, so I was ready for this. I measured about 15 milligrams of the 5-MeO and dropped it into the glass meth pipe that I purchased the day earlier. Previous test smoking experiences showed that the crystals quickly turned to liquid and the liquid ran down my straight glass pipe when I inhaled, causing problems and wasting the drug. So now I'm starting with a more refined pipe. I liquefied the 5-MeO with my butane torch lighter and held the fire under the liquid to vaporize every last bit. I proceeded to take a mega monster hit, holding the plastic tasting smoke in my lungs for as long as I absolutely could. I started feeling the 5-MeO within 5 seconds but held the smoke for about 25 seconds. I was barely able to lay the pipe down and get cozy on my bed when the trip began. I instantly felt the flood of a chemical substance to my brain. It felt extremely chemical-like and I felt very superficial receptors in my brain spinning out of control. Nausea began to escalate. Quick spinning color spikes were my predominant vision and painful surface brain processes were getting exponentially harder to deal with until the brain pain became almost unbearable. There was a moment when I think I almost passed out. This really all just felt like it was going on in my head. I had no dissociation at all. It didn't even really produce any hallucinations other than these spinning color spikes in my forevision. Near the peak of the trip I remember thinking that this will definitely be my one and only 5-MeO trip and how I might go about getting rid of other 200 milligrams. I was pissed this crap cost so much money. I will admit though, at the peak I was in so much out of control brain pain that I wasn't sure I'd make it back alive or without seriously frying my noggin. On one level, the deeper, introspective level, I was almost completely sober. This sober level just tried to hold on while watching my surface level go completely haywire. Thus, being conscious, this trip was not in the least bit profound. This trip reminded me of massive amounts of N20 mixed with 500 micrograms of LSD, and a hammer to the back of the head, but without hallucinations and extremely painful. It also reminded me of what it might be like to kill yourself with inhalants. It felt like ethyl ether, acetone and glue were cooking my brain, not fun at all. The best words I can find to describe it are, chemical mindfuck. There was nothing deep about this experience, not even its intensity was deep. Yes, it was extremely intense, but intense in the way that you might find after getting your legs amputated by a train. No real stinging or burning of the actual cuts, but your brain just pulsating and boiling with a pain cyclone of screaming neurotransmitters. It really did just affect only a small part of my brain intensely. I was not completely immersed in the experience, unlike with salvinorin A. Maybe I was looking for something wildly intense that was also somewhat of a dissociative. But this isn't it. In my estimation, 5-MeO DMT is complete crap. Not even remotely entheogenic for me. I could get better results banging my head on the curb. I sure hope N-DMT isn't anything like this worthless excuse for a drug or tryptamines, and I may be parting ways for a while.